COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Howdy, folks. How are you today? Hope you're having a bloody beautiful day in my part of the world, at least, and did not see one chemtrail at least go over my place, which is a good start. Well, that's good. Rumble's getting the advice that we're on. Looks like Facebook has. I haven't been advised by any of the YouTube channels that they're working. I know they are, so hello to everybody who's watching on one of the YouTube channels, and most of you are probably sitting in the chat here. So lovely to say hello to you all this evening. Who was in first tonight? Hill Summit Homestead. Jack, mate, nice to have you in. And I see in the chat there somewhere that you've been making videos, mate. Maybe you better give your site a bit of a plug and send a few folks your way to have a look at your videos. So I didn't get time to have a look at many of them, but I did have a look at a couple. Pardon me. Hello to everybody else who's floating in there tonight. Yeah, okay. I did have a bit of a problem with a man holding a knife to my head today. He was a little man, and that's the result there of it. Little Asian man. Yes, if you weren't watching last night, that heading tonight might have shocked you a bit. But today I went to a skin cancer joint because this thing on the side of my head was starting to look a bit weird. Turns out, nothing weird about it at all. In fact, it's one of those really debilitating things when you go to some sort of medical facility and they say, oh, it's this or it's that. Well, in my case, it was more of that. It was an age spot. Who knew? At any rate, bloody decent sized one. So they shaved it, which wasn't painful and a bit uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful. And yeah, not too many worries. I do have a few worries on the chest, however. Oh, that side. You might see where they've taken a little biopsy of that. And I got a couple of other of those too. So didn't get to escape any of that, unfortunately. But there is some black salve on the way to me. So looking forward to trying that. Really looking forward to trying that. So thank you to Stu, who I believe got his X39 patches from me today. So if he got them today, I'm hoping that quite a few people in his neck of the woods, and I call that state, got theirs. So if you happen to be in here tonight and you got your patches, then let me know. Pardon me. Let me know. Also, the sound. Is the sound any better? I've had a little bit of a change of microphone. You can't see it, but it's there. So hopefully the sound will be a little bit better for you tonight. Grant, well, thanks, Grant. I'm not even going to put that up so we can bother talking about it. Mate, anybody who's ever met me, well, obviously other than him, would have a very different view. Look, I don't care, mate. I don't care. It comes down to being distracted by trolls at the end of the day. And I'm not. Nothing anybody can say about me, you know, whatever they want to brush, they want to tar me with. I don't care. It doesn't make an imprint on me. Why? Because I've had it all my life. It's what happens when you're in radio all your life. And that's pretty much my entire working life. So trolls, particularly these kindergarten versions that we have that come on here, they're nothing. I mean, I was playing around in chat rooms and forums with real trolls working in an industry that was so cutthroat. My father once asked me why I bothered staying in it when so many people were stabbing me in the back. And I said, well, shit, Dad, that's because I'm throwing 10 knives for every one I catch. That's how the industry works. So these trolls that come into my room, into the other people's rooms, are infants, children, infantile pests, not even pests. They are an amusement, which sometimes I allow myself to get indulged in, and I haven't for a while. So, and I don't plan on getting involved with it again. I wish more people in this movement would take more notice of that action of mine, if nothing else. All right, and I mean really take notice of it. Well, no, maybe I shouldn't give you the secret on how you do it, but because you can only do it from your own heart. So you can give yourself an impenetrable armor, but I don't know that many of you are capable of taking the step required to make it impenetrable. But I'm happy to share that should that ever come out. Anyway, yeah, no, Grant, I wasn't accusing you of trolling, mate. Sorry, I think I just saw something you said there, breeze past. No, not accusing you and not offending me in any way. Don't sweat that. There are a lot of people who send me a lot of things. Oh, Bozy said this, or Guru said that, or Kaz said this, or... You know, the only ones that are getting any benefit out of that, and it's no good benefit, and that's the people who are sending it to me. They think, by me knowing, they're either propagating it unwillingly or unwittingly, rather. They think that it's something desperate that I need to know, because if people are going to say bad things about me, I'll want to know that. And I guess to a certain extent, you want to know what they're saying, but I don't. I'm sorry. Whether that's I've lost faith or I've just got a different message, because, you know, I like to think that occasionally my messages change. Not for the worse and not flip-flopping, but I'm not saying the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm hopeful that you guys see that through me. I'm hopeful that you understand that those who are creating these divisions, and look, I've heard, you know, variously stories of Masons funding the bus. I think we addressed that last night. It's very funny. And even if they did, they have no input into it, and there is no recourse back to what they donated. So don't know what sort of influence they're going to be able to exert over that, because it's like shoving your money in a poker machine. It's just gone. You know, the petrol, you know, tank for that bus is a bit like that. You need a poker machine to keep filling it, and you need a lot of wins. Oops, that's my pen gone. So look, I don't. You don't have to worry about anything like that. What else have I heard? I've heard that there has been a whole ancestry done on me, which will be interesting because none of you actually know my birth name. So if you're going to do an ancestry thing, you'd probably go with the blood, I would have thought. But what do I know? But apparently my ancestry from that, and once again, I don't even believe this has happened, but once again, my ancestry from that shows that I come from Polish Freemasons, which I'm sure will deeply, 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 deeply upset the memory, if not have them rolling in their graves, of my East German grandparents, who my father managed to trace the lineage back, you know, his side of the family back centuries. No Poles involved, just between you, me, and the gatepost. So there you go. I've given you a great starting point. Go for that. I know the other side as well, so I'm not going to give you a starting point for that. But be guaranteed, I think the easiest way to describe the stock that I come from is I come from dairy farmers, coal miners, and the town drunk. That's the kind of stock that I come from. Dairy farmers, coal miners, and the town drunk. Do with that as you may. One day hopefully we'll get to sit around and have a talk about it, because I think it's bloody hilarious. What else do it doesn't matter what else I've heard. It doesn't matter. And I wish you would come to that same realization. It doesn't matter. I am not trying to tear A1 down, to dissuade anybody from believing anything in anybody, whether that be Ricardo, whether that be Guru, or anybody else. I'm not trying to tell you that they're wrong and I am right. All right? You make up your own mind. And I'm sure you will. And you have. As far as I can tell, we're all on the same side. Okay, I get a bit angry. I get a bit disappointed. My frustration comes through when I feel my place is being attacked in a way that is unfair. If I felt that it was being attacked fairly, I wouldn't have a problem. I would let my place fight for itself. But when I feel it's being attacked unfairly, and I have felt that quite a lot for a while, I haven't said a lot for a long time. I haven't said anything for a long time. I feel a little protective of my place because I think, as I explained to you, my reasons for initially starting it, well, they've sort of morphed because Darren and I have had a lot more to do with each other. And while I wish he was a lot closer to me, and I mean that in geographical terms, we talk most days, and there are deep conversations, and then there are funny conversations, short ones. And I'm just grateful that he considers me one of the persons that he will ring up and consult with too. So, and he usually gets a bit of pushback from me, interesting, maybe different view of any different point. So I've not seen Darren act in a way that is Masonic, and I have asked him, I think on more than one occasion, but certainly on my most recent trip, asked him straight, eye to eye, you're not a Freemason, are you? And he looked me back in the eye, dead in the eye, and said, no, I am not. Now, I guess everybody can be taken in. I get a feeling for people. I've shaken the man's hand, looked him in his eye when he said these things. So I trust him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am. But if that is the case, then, well, I'll give myself a swift uppercut and we'll figure out a solution to the problem. But until such time as somebody presents me with irrefutable evidence, then I think my place should be left alone off the battlefield because, well, let's face it, it's just community groups trying to do the best thing for their community groups, best things for their community. They are uniting. They are getting behind one another. They are encouraging one another. There are many people, particularly of a certain age, who might be now widowed, who don't get a lot of outside time. They don't want to go and turn up to the old folks' home, being the senior citizens club, or they don't want to go down to the RSL and sit there all day and put $20 into a poker machine and read the newspaper and drink water, unless that's the only place where the air conditioning is, because let's face it, a lot of you folks are going to struggle through summer being able to afford air conditioning. I'm the same. Where do you go? Well, you go to the shopping centres, don't you? You go to the theatres, the movie theatres, and, well, other places with air conditioning. So, maybe my place has air conditioning. It's a great place to go and hang out. It's better than going to the pokies, which are always really well air conditioned. So, that would be, if I had any financial advice, and I don't, but if I had any, that would be it. Don't go to the pokies for the air conditioning. Stay away from them. Go find somewhere else for the air conditioning. But there are no... We're going to wait for proof. If anybody has proof, show us the proof. I think Rick said that the other night when somebody told him that I'd accused him of being a Shriner Mason. He laughed out uproariously and said, show me the proof. Show us the evidence. I agree. 100%. Show us because I never said that. You actually go back and watch it. I didn't say that at all. Anyway, there's a lot of things not being said around the world at the moment. A lot of things. Liz Gunn, unfortunately, has had to go and take refuge in the wilderness of New Zealand. Now, thank God there is a lot of wilderness in New Zealand, and I believe she comes from the South Island. Now, I haven't seen much of the South Island except from the outside looking in, but the bits that I have seen would indicate there is an awful lot of remote areas in New Zealand where she might be able to hide. She was able to get a message out today,
the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, to be forced to return to New Zealand, her passport held, and I call for her actions to be held to account. She has completely broken her social contract with the people of New Zealand. She has allowed them to be injured, damaged, and killed. She has kept the information about that secret, and so has her successor, Christopher Hipkins. And I say to Christopher Luxon, the new leader, you are looking very weak. Stand up and call out the evil of supposedly the other.
Yep. So if you feel the urge, by all means, you can email Christopher Luxon. I was going to get their email address up, but just sort out New Zealand Prime Minister and find out who the head of the New Zealand Health Department is and email them too. Let them know that the world is watching. They cannot be allowed to get away with this, and I think every Australian would support Liz Gunn's call for the return of that horrible piece of work, Ardern, who has taken up her boardroom place with BlackRock in New York City. She should be brought back to the people of New Zealand, have her passport held, and she should face inquiry. Very, very, very strong inquiry. Speaking of very, very strong inquiries into the cough, England has just started a big inquiry into the cough. Boris Johnson was there.
Can I just say how glad I am to be at this inquiry, and how sorry I am for the pain and the loss and the suffering
sit down.
of
please stop.
COVID victims.
Please sit down. Please sit down, or I'm afraid you'll have to leave the hearing room. I'm sorry, if you don't sit down, I'm going to ask the ushers to get you to leave. Right, ushers, please, could you ask them to leave?
Could I say, by your leave, that I understand the feelings of these victims and their families, and I am deeply sorry for the pain and the loss and the suffering of those victims and their families. And grateful though I am to the hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers and many other public servants and people in all walks of life who helped to protect our country throughout a dreadful pandemic, I do hope that this inquiry will help to get the answers to the very difficult questions that those victims and those families are rightly asking, so that we can protect ourselves better, help each other to help protect ourselves better in the future and prevent further suffering. And if it's not too impertinent, may I say, as the person, as you rightly say, Mr. Keith, who set up this inquiry, how grateful I am to you for what you're doing and for the immense care that you are plainly taking.
Does he sound like he's sucking up to the head of the inquiry there much? Would you have expected Boris to come out with such words, listening to what he said? He is deeply sorry, deeply sorry, deeply, and he's sorry. Nods his head a lot, acknowledges the pain of others a lot, but never once does he offer a shred of responsibility. Let's hope that more of that will come out in the inquiry. Speaking of inquiries, there's been another inquiry. It's been going on for 2 years in Victoria, and funnily enough, it was focused on that turd of a human being who used to run Victoria, Dan Andrews. Now, the people from Sky News got a hold of the report from this inquiry. And Shari Markson, I think it is, and the Angry Gnome X3AW personality Steve Price.
Now, former Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews it's been revealed that he employed an office of over 80 people. This is according to a new report from the Integrity Watchdog, the Commissioner, Deborah Glass. This is about the same number of staff as both the Prime Minister and the New South Wales Premier's office put together. The Ombudsman also found that the work of Victoria's public servants was being compromised and that there was a culture of fear and political secrecy. Steve, what did you make of these findings and then the response from the Victorian government today?
It's a 2-year investigation by the Ombudsman, and what she's found is confirmed what many Victorians have known for a very long time, that Daniel Andrews was running a protection racket out of his own office right through the years of COVID and before and since. And what he was doing was sidelining senior public servants, and his office was making the big calls. Now, he's blown out the budget. I mean, Victoria's total debt is going to be somewhere around $265 billion in 3 years' time. And so what you didn't have was senior public servants examining projects and saying, hang on, I don't think we should be doing this. It's not going to work. It's going to cost too much. The suburban rail loop's a classic example. So what Andrews did was stack his office with an extraordinary number of staff. And as you say, it totals the total number in the PM's office and the New South Wales Premier put together. And Daniel Andrews has been caught out. But of course, Shari, what's happened to Daniel Andrews? Well, he's walked away with a lovely pension. He's gone off into the twilight, and he's left the mess for the new Premier, Jacinta Allen, to clear up. And I think she's having a lot of trouble getting rid of some of these people who are in that office, and she wants a fresh start, but it's going to be very difficult. But that 200-page report, there's a lot more that's going to come out of that about the secret operations that Dan Andrews was running and snubbing the people of Victoria and costing us billions of dollars.
Angry Gnome is at it again. Good on him. I think that's bloody great. Will they actually get anything out of Dan Andrews? Because let's face it, Steve Price has been a loud, opponent of his for a long time. But, he's pretty much out of the game these days. I think the project's on its last legs. That's his only paying gig at the moment. He might be doing something locally in Melbourne. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, he's retired down to the Mornington Peninsula and plays golf at a golf club that Dan Andrews is never going to be allowed to get to. That can't be a bad thing. I'd probably have to support him with that at the very least. Facebook are doing some shit things, particularly if you happen to be a group administrator. I was sent this today. Here is a nice little message. You can stay safe with automation. It's called Admin Assist. Large active groups like yours can benefit from our automated modern tool, Admin Assist, read AI. In 3 days, we will automatically turn this tool on to help keep your group safe. We have recommendations for criteria that moderates members' unwanted content for you. We'd like you to review those recommendations. Admin Assist is an automation tool that helps you to efficiently manage posts, comments, people, and more. Criteria tells Admin Assist what to look out for to make moderation easier. You're always in control. Bullshit. And easily edit or delete the recommendations or add new criteria that works for your group and chats anytime. Yeah. Have a look at this. These are, what you should do. I think you should look at the bottom arrow, but have a look at the box at the top. That message was sent to the Facebook page for Australia Uncensored. Automatic censoring, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, of Australia Uncensored, the Facebook page. I mean, they're already doing it anyway, but it's just getting more stupid by the minute, isn't it? I mean, seriously. Well, speaking of stupid, but maybe not, I am not exactly sure how you'd go about this, but I learned something new today. There'll be many parts of Australia and many people watching this around the world now that would never have heard of a golden orb spider. Let me show you, let me show you a small one. All right. Now, these golden orb spiders are reasonably large. They can grow to maybe the size of a teacup saucer, and they can spread a web between two trees overnight or in a very short period of time, they can spin this web. And should you be fortunate enough to walk through one, you'll feel like you've been caught in a string net. They are quite strong. Well, it turns out they are very, very strong. And there's been some research into the golden orb spider's silk for making alternatives to Kevlar because it is so strong and so lightweight. Now, hear me out. My place, a lot of people in my place are trying to grow hemp and are growing hemp for various different reasons, mainly for its strength, its warmth, its building properties, all that sort of stuff. Is there a market, particularly in the southeast corner of Queensland, for people who know we get a lot of golden orb spiders, a lot, and I'm sure out on the properties you get a lot more. How do we harvest said silk and do something with it? All right, maybe I'm only being half serious. This bloke's being pretty serious. Argentina's president-elect, Javier Milei, has said he will close the country's central bank. Now, he is closing an awful lot of things in Argentina at the moment, and the people seem to be loving him. I'm not sure. He may have, the pendulum might have just swung a little bit too far there, but I guess we'll go and find out. Oh, here's something that I wanted to bring up while we were talking about New Zealand. 11,000 politicians and elites have received an exemption for the cough and jab. And I think the people of New Zealand might want to understand how that could be. Why were those people given that exemption when I'm sure they suffered the same problems we did, going to our GP and saying, oh, no, I need an exemption because of I have an existing precondition that will put me in a precarious position should you make me do this. And they didn't care less. Now, just briefly on the whistleblower, Barry from New Zealand. Now, Barry's appeared on InfoWars. He has retold his story quite happily. I don't think there's a hope in hell that there is a jury in the country that would convict him. But it'll be interesting to see how the New Zealand government go and play that out. And, of course, they are looking for Liz Gunn, who, as far as I'm aware, is still in hiding. So it's going to be an interesting little time going forward. All right, let me get him back in here into your chats and see what we've missed here. Trying to look for something. You guys seem to sort all this out for yourselves. Yeah, Agate, you've got the right idea. Well, great. That was his industry nickname. Anybody who worked with him at 3AW, and I know quite a few, and I was lucky enough or whatever to work with him on a number of occasions, mainly as a panel operator, actually. Now that I think about it, he flew into areas where I was working in regional Victoria when there were floods or some form of disaster, and he was never the guy who would push the buttons behind the microphone. He just sat there and talked. So he's always worked with a panel operator, mainly because he's come from print journalism. I wonder if they had somebody there to type for them as well. But at any rate, he turned into quite a good broadcaster at the end of the day from a professional perspective, take his opinions and whatnot out of it. But that was his industry nickname, the Angry Gnome. And that was given to him by his colleagues at 3AW in Melbourne, where I believe he was urged to leave, but then wound up with a job in Sydney, pretty much, I think, with the same network eventually. And that sort of fell over too, because Sydney people don't like Melbourne people coming in and doing radio. And Melbourne people used to hate Sydney people coming in and doing radio in Melbourne. Now, next year is going to be interesting because Kyle and Jackie Owen, their $200 million deal for 10 years, puts their show smack dab into breakfast in Melbourne, where a moderately successful breakfast show with a very loyal audience is going to be kicked off the air. In fact, has been kicked off the air. They've had their last show. So early January, Kyle and Jackie O will beam out of Sydney into Melbourne. I've listened to that show quite a lot when I'm anywhere around Sydney. I will try and listen into it. Look, I've got to admit, I do fall a bit on the Steve Price side of things. It's not really my kind of radio. I'm not really interested in the sexualized content and, the way that they do all that. I can see that there is a market, sadly, for it. And Kyle has identified and grown up with that market over the last 10 years. He's sort of been able to guide it. So now, given the way that society has been for the last couple of years, the hedonistic aspects of it, can I say that? That has reflected in ratings success. The power that he and Jackie O have now, but they are the highest paid people in Australian media, full stop. Radio or television, the highest paid people in Australian media. And they're probably going to stay that way for a while. They're getting $5 million a year apiece, and there'll be bonuses on top of that with rating successes and all that, and they won't be small bonuses. Even back when I was working in radio, you might get a bonus of $10,000 a year for every point you went up. You might get a bonus of $20,000 a year for every point you went up, depending on what you were able to negotiate. You might be able to negotiate at the end of the year if you've gone up 5 points overall, or you've put the station into number 1 or breakfast into number 2. You might be able to get $100,000 bonus just given to you as a Christmas present. Never happened to me. I wasn't doing breakfast. I was pushing buttons for them. But those sorts of things happen to Steve Price. So, and others. I don't think it's quite like that anymore. Nowadays, the industry is owned by a very few people, and those very few people come from very, very, very well-moneyed backgrounds. Certainly in a couple of cases, they come from very old money backgrounds. And it's hard to fight that unless you're going to go out and buy the network. And if you're going to go and do that, then you're going to need an awful lot of money. An awful lot of money. So, we're not going to play that game. No worries, Tree. Thank you for being around and happy to help. Andrew. Should Bosey be worried about being charged with incitement? I don't know. No, I don't think he's incited anybody. Same as me. I think we're both pretty careful in what we say and how we say it. I in no way advocate, everybody grabbing the pitchforks and running up the hill trying to take anything. That's never going to work. There is not going to be a violent solution to our problem. At least not unless the people getting violent are the military who are behind the people. Because we simply do not have the capability. We may have the desire, some may have the desire, but we do not have the capability to take them on. And I would think as a military man, Ricardo would understand that particular point as well. So no, I don't think that that is going to happen. Although they own the courts, they own the enforcers, they can make up any law they like. So I guess anything is possible. It might be why he never goes outside without security and never goes outside. I don't know. So, no, I can't see that. Not at the moment anyway. And I hopefully, surely don't see that for me either. It would be a long stretch. As to the bloke that they've arrested in Arizona, going to be a long time before we see him back here in an Australian court, I would have thought. If he has any kind of a decent lawyer in America, he will fight that extradition very, very, very hard. I haven't watched his videos at that time around that incident, and certainly I have no insider knowledge as to what other videos the enforcers may have been able to get. The trains were clearly in contact with this guy for a long time. I notice now they are heavily putting the religious swing on the messaging. So they're walking them away from a terrorist kind of thing and just religious freaks. So it'd be interesting to see if he has a decent lawyer and access to a decent lawyer inside the system over there, then I would be surprised if they ever get him on a plane. However, it is America we're talking about. It is Arizona. And we know the troubles that there have been with all sorts of illegality and corruption in Arizona. And some of that has come from the bench. So anything's possible. I wouldn't like to be in his shoes if he actually does get back here, though. That will be a... yeah, I would be surprised. Mitch. I was going to laugh, but you raise a very interesting point. No, I have not. I can guarantee you I have not, because I also had reason to go to a vet. And at the vet that I went to, they have a scanner that detects microchips for dogs sitting on the bench. So I asked them to scan me just out of fun, which they did, and I didn't beep. So, but it's funny you asked that. Very strange thing. If you do have that problem, go to a vet. If you think that you've been chipped in some way, go to a vet. Have them pass that thing over your skin. It'll beep if you've been, jabbed in a recent site. I actually tried recently to see whether or not I could get the Bluetooth registrations come up on the phone with people who I felt were quite jabbed around me, but I knew they were. Now, obviously, it's been a while since their last jabbing, but I couldn't pick up any of those big numbers and letters, those Wi-Fi addresses. So, don't know if any of you are trying that, but if you are, I would love to know about the success of it. Speaking of successes, now today I spoke to Carol. You might remember last week I played a couple of videos of Carol after she'd tried the X39 patch and the differences that it made in her life. Carol has had her first order of patches because she ordered 3 hours in on the first patch, I think. She was very excited. But she's had her patches turn up and she's been wearing them now for over 5 days, I think. Her quote to me today was about her husband saying to her, she's got to slow down. She's doing too much. She's loving it. She's got her life back. She's getting out on the property and doing things. She's getting into the house and doing things. She's getting around the house and doing things. And she's not having to have a rest in the middle of the day. She's not having to take opioid pain medicine. She is living the life she was meant to live and for 33 years couldn't because of back injury and other issues that she'd had. She is just one of the most beautiful souls. And we spoke today for a long time. Just about how strange it was that the universe brought us together. Because if her hubby hadn't have been drunk at a bar on the first night of a cruise 5 years ago on a boat with 3,500 people on it, and just happened to walk up to beside me at that bar, we would never have met. And we had a great time on that boat. For a couple of weeks, and then we haven't seen each other since until I turned up at their house recently. I'd forgotten that she had a bad back, and it was only after she was complaining of pain, and I remembered I had 2 patches out in the bar, so I went out and got one, And that's where the story started. So I simply ran my phone over it at the time because I didn't have a camera with me, and just tried to note her baseline, what she started out with, and got her to tell us what sort of pain she was in, which is significant. And then, well, I'll post them up. It's quite changing. And she hadn't seen them until today. So God love you, Carol. You're probably watching tonight. And I know that there are a lot of people that, based on what they saw happen to her, have gone and bought some X39 patches and are waiting very, 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 very patiently for their arrival. So am I. For everybody who's getting a freebie or two from me, my patches still haven't arrived yet. No, that isn't one on the side of my head. I may well replace it with one, though, when mine eventually arrive. I've got the message that says, so for those of you wondering if you get tracking, you do kind of get tracking. I've got a message that tells me that my package will arrive somewhere between Thursday and Monday. So it didn't arrive today. Fingers crossed it will arrive tomorrow. If not, it'll be bloody Monday. Rest assured, I'll be writing out envelopes all weekend and stuffing them as soon as it arrives and sending out to as many people as I can still on my list. I still won't have enough to cover everybody on it, so the rest will have to wait until the next package arrives, which I haven't been sent a notification for yet, but hopefully it will be no more than about 10 days. At the moment, I think Christmas, if this one turns up tomorrow, it will have taken 8 days to get to me, which, isn't bad. But we could always do with it being a bit faster, particularly if you're the ones in pain. If you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, there is a pain patch. If you suffer chronic pain and you think nothing can help you and you're on opioid medication and you can't move around, you've got to rest, and you just want your life back, nothing else has worked, what have you got to lose by giving that a try? Email me, carl@vofhq.com. I can't guarantee I can get you a couple of patches anywhere this side of Christmas, probably not this side of the new year, depending on how Australia Post works and how fast LifeWave can get these things out to me. But I will get them to you as fast as I can. So if you want to try them, great. Happy to help you. I don't want you sticking your hand in your pocket and forking out, because it is in US dollars. If they're not going to work for you, if you are suspicious of them in any way, shape or form, then take up the offer of the two that I'll send you, but you'll have to wait a fair while for them. I'll make you another offer. Go and buy a packet of the patches, and if they don't work after the first 2 or 3 days of you using them, get in contact with me and I will buy them back off you for what you paid, because I can probably get them delivered from you to me faster than I can get them from LifeWave, and I have a list that is miles long of people wanting to try. So that's my offer for you. If it doesn't work for you, I don't want you losing your money out of it. Let me know. Send me back the patches that you got left, and I'll, as long as you've not used, all of them, I'll send you back either what you paid, or we'll figure out a reasonable fee for it, so that I can give them on to other people to try, in the hope that it can ease their pain. That would be my wish. So anybody who wants to do that, email me, carl@vofhq.com. I'll send you the link to go and buy it. And you have my hopes and prayers that it works for you as well as it's worked for me. I can only speak personally from my own experience. It has been amazing. But my pain levels are minor compared to many, many, many of you. Some of the stories that I've read here in my emails of the pain that you folks go through on a daily basis, I'm staggered. I am staggered. So you should hold yourselves up high. You are powerful, strong people to be able to go through this like you are day after day. And if these patches can give you any relief at all, I would be overjoyed. It is my greatest wish to be able to see that look of relief, that smile, that joy on your face. And that's why I ask, before you get your patches, if you put them on, before you do that, do me a quick video. It's not one I'm going to play here on the show. unless you tell me I can. But I want to see your level of pain before you put a patch on. I want to get a baseline from you. And then, I've said, 24 hours later or 12 hours later, but just whenever you feel you want to do another one for me, if you feel there's been some change or if you feel there hasn't. But don't do there hasn't been any change until you've worn it for at least 24 hours or maybe even given it, 2 days. Give it the best shot you can, because sometimes it goes to work on things that you don't know it needs to go to work on first. It goes to work on what is needed first. But usually, in my experience, it goes to the pain centers so that it helps you cope with it. So if you suffer pain, these have been working really well. And if you've got animals that are in pain, they can be used for them too. Throw your used ones in their bed. Unless, of course, as somebody said last night, the dog sleeps in our bed. Well, there you go. Maybe you just sleep with a few patches in the bed too. Who knows? It's not such a bad thing at the end of the day. Let me have a look, see if there is... hi, Linda. Yeah, well, I certainly do get texts. No, I can't tell you whether... No, I got a text from LifeWave. I didn't get it from Australia Post. So make that distinction. The text I get is from LifeWave. It's not from Australia Post. So that's them saying, we posted it today. We hope the bastards deliver it somewhere between next Thursday and Monday, meaning today and Monday. So fingers crossed that can happen. All right, folks, I'm going to love you and leave you. I've had a pretty big day. I was out of bed pretty early. Do you like the haircut? I went to go and get the haircut to make that a bit easier. And they didn't do a bad job. They, complimented me on the beard. So I went to that joint that maybe you don't know. I've got some great beard T-shirt stories to tell you one day. Very, very cool indeed. Truth Seekers, look at you. This is the lovely Becky-O. Helped you with arthritis in the elbow and the wrist. Pain disappeared within hours. The first day I was thinking clearer. Oh, now that's the other thing I've missed since I haven't had the energy. It gives you, well, it's given me, let's put it that way, and obviously by the sounds of it, Becky-O, a level of energy that I haven't had in years. I mean, I have the metabolism of a slug, let's be honest. But these patches give you a boost in energy, and these aren't the energy boosting patches. I'm getting some of those. That'll be in the order after the next order's order. That'll be 3 orders away, I think. But I'm getting these energy enhancement patches because I want to get out. I want to start losing a bit of weight. So to do that, I need to get off my ass and move more. Now that my knees aren't hurting as much, I'm finding that that's maybe an option. I actually walked past a cash converters today and found myself looking at mountain bikes. God! It's your fault. It's your fault. Yeah, he knows who he is. Luckily, I gave myself a swift uppercut and kept moving, but bloody hell. Looking at the price of bloody mountain bikes, thinking, oh, yeah, it could fit on the bus. Oh, I just need a rack now. Mountain bike. Bloody hell. A week ago, it would have been powered roller skates. Any alternative to anything that I had to pedal, trust me. So, look, I think the patches have given me a lift in many, many other ways too. As Becky-O says, there is a certain clarity that comes with it. The brain fog lifts. And, well, Becky-O's brain fog was much bigger than mine, but it lifts. And I'm happy for that to happen. God love you, Beck. Are you doing a show tonight? Am I meant to be in your thing tonight? Can't remember if I am. I've got a list of things I'm meant to be doing tonight. Maybe you're on it. I hope things go well for you, folks. If you want to learn more about these pain patches, I'm happy to help you. Carl@vofhq.com. And actually, Becky-O, I want to know, Truth Seekers made up of a group of 5 wonderful women, some of whom are just my kind of crazy. Now, Doris, I don't think her patches will have turned up yet, but Doris, want to see how this goes with your dad. That's going to be really, really interesting. I have another friend in Melbourne who has a wife with dementia. It's a terribly sad situation, as it is with anybody who has been through dementia with a loved one. He's bought these patches for her dementia, and we're going to hopefully get a chance to see if they help with her in any way, shape, or form. And I've got to tell you, I'm excited to see those results based on some of the videos and some of the testimonies that I've seen that have come through the patch sites. So I really hope we can be part of creating a miracle in that family's life. I'm not sure what a miracle looks like in this regard for somebody with dementia. I certainly wouldn't expect reversal. But what do I know? I'm not a medical type. It may do nothing, but I hope and pray for you and your family, mate, that this works, that there is something good to come out of this that brings a little bit of your wife back to you. And I think that would be just wonderful. So God bless you, mate, and thank you for everything that you've done for me and continue to do. So I'm really hopeful that we can do something with that. So yeah, I was also asked today about patches. There are lots of different sorts of patches. I haven't gone into all of them. I've looked at the energy enhancement ones. Pardon me. There are some for different sorts of things in the body. The X39 is the broad patch, and the upgrade, if you like, it covers everything rather than putting on multiple patches. You get to put one on, and it all seems to do everything. There is an X49 patch in the works, which, well, I won't get into it. I'll wait until that's ready to come out, and I'll let Tim come and talk about that a little bit because he knows a lot more about them than that. Big red one. You can't afford any. Righto. So that's a common thing that I hear, and that's why I'm happy to hand out a couple. But what are you going to do if I give you two and they take your pain away and you can't afford them anymore? So this has actually perplexed me because I don't want to be able to give these things to people who find genuine relief and then, for whatever reason, they are out of their reach. Now, we've broken this down. These patches cost about the price of a cappuccino coffee, depending on where you are. So not like, one of the inner Brisbane or inner Sydney latte kind of coffees that cost you $14. No, something that costs you less than $6. Now, I don't know, maybe you go to the pub, maybe you buy a beer. How many beers do you buy that cost you over $6? What's a schooner worth today? $8 or $10? I paid over $10 in a club while I was away for a schooner. So if you drop one schooner a day, then you can afford a patch a day, in my mind. If you can drop one coffee a day, then you can afford one patch a day. Now, if your coffee is going to give you a better benefit for your pain, or your schooner is going to give you a better benefit for your pain than the price of that patch for the day, then by all means, go hard with your coffee and schooners. But if it doesn't, then I would hope you'd be able to find your way to getting them for you, not for me, but for you. I don't care if you get them or not. All right. I wouldn't be telling you to get them, though, if you're in pain and I didn't think they worked. They work. They work amazingly on 98% of the people I have tried them on, right? There have been 2 people who've come back to me and said they've had no reaction. 2 people. I will tell you, delicately, if you have been self-medicating with alcohol and you continue to self-medicate with alcohol while you wear the patch, you won't notice any difference at all, I don't think. And then this is me telling you based on observation I've had with somebody else up here recently with it. Alcohol, as we know, is, essentially a poison that we're putting into our system. So if you happen to be one of those folks who likes, a bottle or two of wine every night, or, you go to the pub and have 10 beers and come home and drink half a dozen stubbies, then these patches are not going to have the effect on you that I pray and hope they would have. And that's because your senses are going to be so dulled down, medicated, self-medicated, that you're not going to be able to tell the difference, whether there was help or there wasn't in most cases. But alcohol is never a good thing to have in the system, and it goes straight into your blood, and these patches are working in your blood. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark without putting any kind of doctor's head on, and this is not medical advice, but logic tells me that if you've got a lot of alcohol in your bloodstream, these things aren't going to help. So I would moderate my alcohol intake. That doesn't mean stop. That just means moderate. And when it comes down to cost, like I say, it's less than $6 a day. I understand getting 30 days or 31 days worth of $6 together can be difficult, and then they hit you in American money, so it gets upped again. However, please try them. If you are in pain, please try them for you, because if they work, they will change your life. I've seen it. You've seen it if you've watched the Carol video, if you've watched any of the testimonials on the website. It changes people's lives. Now, these people aren't just, I was probably like you. I've seen plenty of those sort of videos go, oh, yeah, great actors, great actors. Well, I can tell you, I made the Carol video, all right? And that's the only video I've made so far. But I've had evidence from other people, both in writing and on the phone, who don't like being on video, about the help these patches have given them. And they've signed up and gone and bought a month's worth to give it a good go. Now, at the end of the month, if they feel they're not getting value out of it, they don't bother buying again. No skin off anybody's nose. You can go back to buying another extra beer a day. But if they do work for you, and it does take your pain away, I'm struggling to find where the argument is to make that happen for you somehow. And if you still can't make that happen for you somehow, then yes, hopefully I'll be at a point where I can send you some patches. But, I've already got, well, hang on. So I have 90 requests still outstanding for patches. 90 requests. That's 2 patches each to 90 different people. So that means I've got to fund myself 180 patches. So some are coming, but they're coming slowly. I'll send you what I can. If you email me, carl@vofhq.com, and make sure you send me your address, I'll put you down for 2. But I am genuinely concerned. Oh, thanks, girls, for the stickers. I'm genuinely concerned for people who do try this and get some genuine relief out of it all, and then, for whatever reason, can't afford it. That, to me, would be more torture than a help. So if you genuinely feel that could be your problem, then please don't get me to send you a couple, because I don't want to give you that hope and then have it taken away where I can't help you. Because I certainly can't afford to fund you all into 30 patches a month. I wish I could. But if I had my way, I'd be giving them out like lollies. Well, I have been giving them out like lollies. But at some point, I've got to keep some for myself, because I'm starting to feel a few aches and pains come back in. So I want to be a test like a full test dummy as well. So I want to give it a full 30 days, and we'll see what happens. But I'd love you to come and join us on the journey. And if you will, please do me a little video before and essentially after. You can make that 24 hours after. You can make it 2 days if you've just got the 2 patches that I've sent you. You can make it at the end of the month if you've gone out and bought a supply already. But please, I just want to see you smile. I just want to see that relief, because that smile on your face, that relief on your face is the whole reason I'm doing it. Because trust me, when I saw that on Carol's face, I just knew that I was doing the right thing. So please, let me see it on yours as well. If I've sent you the freebies, please just, let me see it. I sound like a really weird human being now, don't I? Sorry about that. I'm not going to hold you out if you don't send me a video, but write down for me. Give me a written appraisal. Tell me how excited you are, and let me share that, because it's important in our community that we know things are working. It's important in our community that everybody else sitting in that chat room cares about you and wants to know if you're having success. If you have pain like Carol's, and God knows many of you do, and worse, then our family in that chat room want to know that you're feeling better, want to know that you're doing okay, want to know if we can help. So I'm so wonderfully proud of the family that's built around the Voice of Freedom. And it's nothing I've done. You've done it all. So thank you for choosing me to rally around. And, well, I think there are many, many exciting times ahead. Don't be on the road for them, though, because when the dickhead brings you an exciting time on the road, it can really end up quite nastily, and don't like any of that.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?